This is the Wally and Methot Show. Now, here are your hosts, Brent Wallace and Marc Methot.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm Brent Wallace. He's NHL veteran defenseman Marc Methot. Now, Meth, this is episode 14, and we are well into April. However, it seems outside Mother Nature's not cooperating. We had snow on the ground on Wednesday. Did you manage to get all your hydrangeas back inside?
It's funny you bring that up because even my parents fired me a message last night encouraging me and pleading with me to bring them in. So I was out there scrambling with my wheelbarrow because my wife, the planters, they can't be normal size in our house. They have to be massive 150-pound planters. So naturally, she's not going to go grab them and bring them in the garage. I had to do it. So there's about 8 of them, scrambled, got them all in the garage in time before the snow rolled in, and it's done. My back hurts, but I'm okay.
I don't really see you as a green thumb, so this will be interesting to see how this will all play out in the summer. All right, moving on. Big show today is we've got Josh Norris, the hottest Ottawa Senator right now, riding a 5-game point streak. He's going to stop by for a chat. Also, we've got You Want Answers. Of course, we've asked the fans to give us some questions, and Meth is going to answer everybody's until they're all done. No, I'm just kidding. We're gonna do a bunch, but anyway, we got that plus trivial trivia with Craig as he stops by. We're going to hand out Napoli's gift certificate once again for our good friends in Stittsville at Napoli's Cafe. All that still to come. But first, as always, Meth, it's time to get to the headlines. In at number 1, the Josh fight. Josh Norris fighting his way back into Calder contention talk. Number 2, little big man. The Ottawa Senators, are they big enough down the middle to compete with all the big centers around the National Hockey League? Number 3, tragically hip. This is right in your wheelhouse, Meth. Sidney Crosby, one of your favorites, delivers a hip check. I want you to talk about that, and perhaps, is it better than the ones you've delivered in your career? Number 4, trapped in a prison. Robin Lehner, not happy about the NHL's COVID protocols, saying that the NHL has not lived up to their word and changed the protocols once players got vaccinated. And finally, show me the money. Conor McGregor comes out, says he's going to buy Manchester United. I want to know what team, Meth, you would buy with all the money you had in the world. All right, here we go. Number 1, and that is the Josh fight. Josh Norris has been on fire of late. He's now tied for the team lead in points. He's got, I think, 8 points his last 5 games. And I think he's second now in scoring in Calder contention. So is he now a legit contender right now for the Calder? We thought Kaprizov perhaps a couple of weeks ago was the guy because he was running away with the goal scoring lead, but I think it's a lot closer than people want to maybe give him credit for.
I think us as Ottawa fans and media personnel would hope that he's a legitimate contender for it. I'm a huge Norris fan from top to bottom. The way he plays the game, both ways, defensively, he's strong, responsible. He's got a good head on his shoulders. He always makes the right play. And now he's catching a little heater up front and getting some points. So I just hope it's not too late. I'm a huge supporter of his, and I'm hoping that he gets a little bit more recognition on a national scale, because I haven't heard a whole lot about him when you're watching the major news networks on TV. So I'll be curious to see what happens here. I think if he continues to play real strong going into those last couple of games, he'll have a good argument.
It is interesting because there needs to be almost a PR push on a nightly basis from whether it's, I'll say, local media or the team itself. There just has to be more, I think, generated by everybody, because it almost at the end of the day, there is a popularity contest, if you will. And especially this year, because all the markets are in that bubble, right? Like you're following the North really closely. You're not so much in the West and so that becomes a huge issue. I think if they can start to talk more about Josh Norris and the way he's playing, he will certainly be, he's got to be right there 1-2, I would think, with Kaprizov for the Calder.
Right. So there, with regards to Kaprizov, that's just one thing where I like what you said there, Wally, about the bubble that we've been in, especially as far as media coverage goes, because up until about a quarter into the year, I didn't know a whole lot about Kaprizov, and all I did was argue my points with regards to who I believed was a Calder-worthy player on the Ottawa Senators. And then I started paying attention to Minnesota and realized, okay, they got a player there. So I think you make an excellent point in that there needs to be a bit more of a PR push here at some point, preferably right now, if you want any chance in hell to get a guy like Norris to win the Calder. So, I think we're doing our part right now. We're trying to push for him. I do believe he does have a legitimate chance. We'll leave it at that for now. We'll see how this unfolds.
And we'll look to see if he becomes the first Ottawa Senator since Daniel Alfredson to win the Calder. All right, keeping with Josh Norris on that theme, and that is little big man. Do the Ottawa Senators have enough size down the middle as they go into next season? Do they need to have a legit Artem Anisimov size who's 6'4", wide body, or can they go with, Josh Norris and Shane Pinto, Colin White, either Chris Tierney or perhaps Tim Stützle if they move him to the middle? Are they big enough to handle the NHL, because the game is played down the middle of the ice?
Yeah, and that's a huge point you make right there. I think if you look a lot around the NHL and all the marquee centermen that are available, certainly in the top two lines on each team, you've got some muscle there and some bigger, some larger presence guys that are a little bit more imposing on draws. And I don't know that that's an immediate issue per se. But I mean, I think if you look at the grand scheme of things here with the Ottawa Senators, it's not only perhaps size up and down the middle, but you just have an abundance of centermen right now. And while you brought this up to me, I never really looked at it until you said something. I think you've got a question now at some point. What are you going to do with some of these guys? Like with Colin White, for example, where does he line up here moving forward going into next year? And again, not a terribly large human. And I know I'm a big proponent of having some size in the lineup just because I know how heavy things can get into the postseason and playoff hockey. You want to have those guys that can control the play, that are a little bit more imposing. And I know the NHL is gravitating a little away from that now. You need speed, but I don't see how there's any issue having both. And right now, with all the centermen we have and potential centermen, guys like Stützle that are currently on the wing and Nick Paul on the other side on the wing, I mean, there's a lot of flexibility here. So I don't know what you do moving forward.
It'd be interesting to see how it all plays out, but definitely down the middle is certainly a spot to keep an eye on. That and who's going to be Thomas Chabot's D partner next year will, I think, be the big storylines going into camp. All right. Number 3. And so I wanted to put this number 1, but we figured we'd start with the Sens. And that is anytime I can bring up Sidney Crosby to you is one of my favorite things to do. And the other night, he has this hip check on Rasmus Ristolainen. It's in the middle of the ice at the blue line. It's fantastic. Well, at least I think. You give me your score on this hip check.
Oh, it was excellent because, and before we delve in deep into the art of the hip check itself, I thought he loses his stick at one point. I believe he goes and picks it up and then he's kind of caught out of position flat-footed, but manages to have the mind to just swing his hip out. And this is like at the offensive blue line, roughly around center ice. Yep. I can't tell you how hard that is to do because the timing has to be perfect. You need to have very good skating ability to be able to swing your hips out like that backwards. And he did a great job. Middle of the ice like that to catch a guy off guard is very impressive. No less a forward. I mean, I can tell you how often I'd laugh at forwards in practice that are attempting to play defense and then to just have them made a fool out of themselves when you see perhaps a defenseman come down one-on-one on a forward. So, no, Sidney did a really good job. I got to give him a quick stick tap. Excuse me. He handled it really well, and the timing was beautiful. It was a work of art.
Okay, why don't we see more in the game?
It's just hard. And anything I say right now, people are going to think, well, Meth is just trying to blow smoke up his own behind, but that's not what I'm doing.
No.
Proof is in the pudding. When you're watching the games, you just don't see it happen very often. Occasionally a player will pull one off and it could be a little bit of luck, but you got to look for players around the league that are doing it consistently. And it's just hard to do because you have to trust your skating. You look like an absolute fool if you miss a player because he's got a free breakaway. And beyond all those little X factors, it's also the element of, okay, if I land this hip check on a player, is this guy going to jump me? Because it's demoralizing as a forward. Forget it. You're getting posterized. It's going to be on TV, on loops, on highlight reels. So there's the element of, will I have to fight after I hip check a guy? And I can't tell you how many times I watch players now on defense where they're getting burned, especially with guys like McDavid, fast forwards that are burning you just wide to your right or left. Those are prime opportunities to swing your hip out and catch a guy off guard. And I always used to love to do it. If I missed my stick check where you would try to go stick on puck, that was a great opportunity as a fallback plan where you would swing your hip out and land a hip check. And it's win-win for everybody involved because it looks great on TV. Your coaches love it. Your teammates love it. So I don't know why it doesn't happen more. I just know that it is very difficult and there's a lot of stuff involved.
It's so, but the game is a lot quicker than even when you played. So is speed
Even
a
better.
huge factor? Yeah. Oh, okay.
Even better. Speed is your friend. If you're defending a guy like my hip check on Malkin in the playoffs in 2017, he had no speed. I mean, he was moving, but he wasn't flying. So I attempted to land it on him and I got low enough, but he sort of just flopped on my back and then slid into the wall. If you got a guy unsuspecting with a lot of speed, those are the ones you want to catch off guard because he's essentially going to flip right over you and it looks great. So, I mean, now's a better time than ever. And you know what? You're giving me some ideas here, Wally. Maybe I should open up like a hip checking clinic or something, and I charge people an arm and a leg for their kids to come to the camp.
We can put it on YouTube.
Well, it's an opportunity.
So do you think you could catch Connor McDavid then, based on his speed with a hip check?
Look, and everyone's going to jump down my throat for saying this, but yes, I think if you, and again, and he's such a smart player that he probably would do his homework ahead of time and know who he's playing against. But anytime you see these guys coming down, whether it's McDavid or anybody else, certainly a taller player with a lot of speed, those are the perfect guys to catch. It blows my mind that it's not happening more often.
Really? Okay. But I remember Darcy Tucker one time did it, but he did it low, right? Like it was a dirty play. So what is the difference between the dirty play and getting a clean hip check?
Well, yeah, when it's clean, the guy's got puck possession for starters, and you're not hitting them in the knee. You're hitting them in the hip. So your rear end is making contact with either their hip or the higher end area, their quad on their pant. And that's how you get all that momentum shift and they flip over your back. So I'm a big guy. So if you're a smaller defenseman or you're shorter, maybe 5'11" or 6 feet, it's perfect for you. And I know Orlov has landed a couple, I believe, over the last couple of years. But again, it's just such a nice tool to have in your back pocket because it almost saves you half the time. And it works even better when you have bad gap. It's a coach's nightmare when a defenseman has bad gap, but it's just a nice fallback plan to have as a defense mechanism when they're coming down and you've got no speed and they're flying.
It seems to me though, and I don't know how many times you got called penalties or not, but it gets penalized. Really, it gets penalized, it seemed to me, more often than perhaps it should.
So my first hip check, I still remember with the Senators, at least, was against Florida. And was it on, who was the forward? I forget the forward. I'm sure people could find it online, but I still remember getting called for it. And the ref came up to me after the fact and says, Meth, I'm sorry, man. I didn't know what to do. Like, I just hadn't seen one in a while. And it looked like a trip, but he admitted after watching the replay, which they rarely do. Referees rarely do this. He basically said, he's like, I watched the replay and it shouldn't have been a non-call. And, you know, at least in the moment, I appreciated the candidness and the honesty, but almost every other hip check I've ever landed has been clean and non-called.
Interesting. It wasn't Tim Peel, was it? I'm just kidding.
You can't go there right now, can you?
We'll move on. All right. Number 4, trapped in a prison. Robin Lehner comes out on Wednesday. He's not happy with the way the NHL is running its protocols and says, listen, we were told when we got vaccinated that they would loosen the restrictions, but that has not happened. And the NHL is saying, well, it's not going to happen until everybody's vaccinated so that certain teams don't get a bit of a competition benefit from it. Where do you stand on the way that this is all played out? Basically, I want to say in the US, because they have fans inside. They have a lot more things going on than we certainly do here.
Right. So as fans and as ourselves here, I guess we're fans too. We have to remember that our circumstances right now are completely different from the United States as far as where we're at vaccine wise and having fans in the stands and having, you know, things open up a little bit more. So I can understand where he's coming from. I think that if you're told one thing, then you go get your jab, your vaccine, and then, you know, your bosses, or I guess the NHL in this case, tells you, well, no, we're going to go back on our word now. You're going to have to stick to these incredibly strict, but understandable at the time protocols.
Yep. And
we're going to go back to that because we're just, you know, optics wise, it's just not a good look or whatever the reason might be. I mean, I'd be frustrated. And we all know Robin, he's an open book and you can't fault him for that. We need more of that. I wish we had more of this in the NHL. You get it. You see it in the NBA, guys are more outspoken. You see it in football and it's entertaining and it's engaging and people love it. And for whatever reason, excuse me, in our culture in hockey, players just kind of shell up and they bottle up because they're afraid to speak their mind, because that's just what we're supposed to do. And you got to be the good boy that doesn't say very much. And I feel like that's a culture shift that needs to change. And I commend him for speaking up. And I know a lot of people will, think, well, you're making a ton of money, or you're a spoiled hockey player. You should not be speaking up the way you are with regards to this, because these are sensitive times. And to a degree, I can understand that. But you also have to remember that things are much different right now in Nevada, and they're much further ahead than we are. And the NHL said one thing and they came back on it. So I can understand why he's frustrated.
But I don't think this is anything to do with dollar amounts. I will say we live in Ontario where you can't golf, and there is really no reason to say we shouldn't be golfing or any. Like, Robin has spoken out about mental health issues well before COVID, and now he's trying to reiterate that these restrictions that are being placed on people, and especially perhaps for them, and it's how he sees the world, because that's the way he's living it, is that these restrictions affect your mental health. And we've been saying it all along in Ontario that things need to open in order for people to get and feel better about the way things are going. It's a tough time. And to say that you can't go to the playground, you have to walk through it, or that you can't go play golf, when you, like, all that stuff just makes people angry and frustrated, and they feel like they've been lied to. It's tough.
Yeah, it's really hard. And we all know more than anybody, right? As far as when I say we, I mean, people living here in Ontario, maybe even around Canada, it's not easy. And and you make a great point there, Wally, with regards to Robin's comment about mental health. We all know how stir crazy we get when we're at home for maybe a day and we're not getting outside or socializing. We're human beings. We're social people. We need to be around people. We need to communicate. And when you put in the work and the sacrifices to heed to these rules, and understandable, because we're trying to prevent spread. And when you do that for over a year, it can get frustrating for some people, and everyone's voicing their different opinions. Everyone's angry, and things can get heated. And that goes back to my original point when I had mentioned the dollar amounts. What I was referring to was anytime an athlete speaks up, a lot of people, they might just be a very vocal minority, but they immediately go to the old argument of, well, you're just a spoiled, rich, entitled athlete. You shouldn't talk. And, it's unfortunate, because mental illness has no bounds, right? Like it doesn't matter who you are. Everybody's affected differently. And I think that's what Robin was trying to kind of convey across to everybody. And I think we need to be more mindful of that. And I mean, I know we're in a much different circumstance here. I don't want to keep falling back on that, but I can sympathize with Robin in that times are really hard. It plays differently on everybody. We're all different people. And I mean, we need to be there to support each other. And I don't see any harm in voicing your opinion when you're lied to. That's all.
I'm just happy he voiced his opinion. And you brought it up earlier. Like, we've gone through this NHL. The whole mantra is don't say anything that's going to bring attention to you and take away from the team, and just be quiet. And right. Like, good on him, and good on people who speak up. And once they do, though, the media likes to hammer down on them and continue to go after them and say, how could you say this and do that? That's what we want. We want people to speak up. Like, you guys are, whether you want to be or not, are looked at as idols, looked at as leaders, looked at as community builders. Speak your mind and say what's out there so that other people can feel that same kind of emotion. And they go, you know what? I can totally relate to that. So
I agree.
Good for Robin Lehner.
Yeah.
Whether it changes anything, we'll wait to find out. And who knows? I don't expect it will, but I'm glad he did at least voice his opinion. All right. Absolutely. Finally, and speaking of money, why not? Conor McGregor comes out and says, you know what? Maybe I should buy Manchester United. And it was a joke. And I think it's got to do with there was that whole super league that was going to be formed in soccer, football in Europe. If you had all the money, is there one professional sports team that you would buy?
It's I hate the question, but I can appreciate it because, I mean, for me I'm a pretty simple guy. No matter how much money I had, I think I'd like to just run a local team. I mean, for me, a local junior B hockey team, just to have my hand in that and be able to help out around the team and be able to bring my kids in. I mean, okay, if I had all the money in the world, I'd love to own the New York Yankees or something. But to me, it goes beyond all that. I'd love to be involved in hockey still because it's what I know. And to be able to take my kids there and show them around. I mean, and again, I'm not trying to encroach on any owners in the area, but
why can't you just answer the question? Then just say the Ottawa Senators then.
Well, I can't afford the Ottawa Senators. And you're right. Okay, the question is, you've got all the money in the world.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I'd love to own the Ottawa Senators. Do you want to get a group together with me and maybe we can pitch something to Eugene?
Sure. As soon as we get a sponsor for this show, I am in.
It's too stressful. I don't even want to bother with that.
See, I would like, the Dallas Cowboys is the easy one, but part of me wants to own their Mercedes F1 team, Lewis Hamilton
and cool.
Valtteri Bottas. Because they are dominant. They're fun, and it's
and you get all the perks that come with it, right? You get to travel around the world in all those cool cities like around Europe and stuff.
If you're not in Europe, you don't appreciate how big the F1 actually is. And there's lots of other things. Whether we can pick a soccer team over there, man. Yeah, it's like Lewis Hamilton.
And
I think he makes $30 million a year.
What? How much?
I think it's $30 million a year.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Well, that's pretty good. I was going to say, with regards to the Dallas Cowboys, just my experience, just driving by their practice facility, man, it's insane. Like it looks like a fancy industrial, like, I don't know, office building you'd have downtown, like on steroids. And they had like a football field, like a makeshift one just out front, almost kind of game-like. And Jerry Jones would park his helicopter right at center field on the Star. So when he'd go from Arlington, where they play their real games, to their practice facility in Frisco, he'd have his helicopter going back and forth. And I all I could think was like, what a boss! Like to have your helicopter right there in the middle of the field, like insane. And it was Jim Nill, our GM, that actually took my wife and I for a little tour around that whole area, because that whole area in Dallas, like North Dallas, is really cool. You have the Rangers practice facility, the Dallas Stars practice facility, and the Dallas Cowboys. And it's just like this big sports complex, and it's like miles and miles in diameter wide. It's really neat.
There is I think it's Amazon. It's a streaming service that has like a year in the life of the Dallas Cowboys, like a behind the scenes. They do it for a bunch of different pro teams.
Yeah. Okay.
It's really good. Like it's phenomenally good. I covered a Jets playoff series once. So I was at the Jets practice facility, which was probably the best one I've been to of all the NFL ones. And it is stunning. And it's nowhere near the Cowboys one, but they have a barber chair, like a barber shop in there. And they've got right. They have and when you talk about chefs, they've got 5-star chefs on demand.
Yeah.
Like all that stuff, like anything you need is in that facility.
And that's the difference between and the NHL is incredible. We have a lot of great resources available, but it's not even close. It's not. Because you visit some of these facilities, even like I said, in Dallas, even where the Mavs played downtown, like their little cool area attached to the building at the American Airlines Center. Like it's out of this world, the money involved, So again, I like to think that we're more the blue collar sport. You know what I mean, Wally?
We could probably run a minor hockey team. Maybe.
Maybe.
All right. Those are the headlines for now. Up next, we've got You Want Answers. That's coming up later in the show with Craig. He's going to stop by. Also, Trivial Trivia. We're giving away Napoli's gift card. And up after the break, he's the hottest Ottawa Senator of late. He is the #1 center, and he is coming up. That is Josh Norris. Don't go anywhere. You're watching the Wally and Methot Show. All right, welcome back to the show. Pleased to be joined now by the 19th overall pick by the San Jose Sharks in 2017, Josh Norris, but who's now the #1 center of the Ottawa Senators. Josh, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Just before we begin, your season has certainly taken off, and I feel like you've started to come into your own, if you will, and now you're continually putting up points on a consistent basis. How would you assess your game and where it's at?
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. I think definitely the last probably 7, 8, 9 games, I've found some more confidence and I've been producing a little bit more. And, I'm back on the other unit now with Shabby and Brady and Timmy and Drake, which is nice. And it's been good. I've been playing with good players, which obviously helps a lot. And just want to continue to get better.
I know you're supposed to shoot the puck more, at least that's what everybody tells you, but you have, I think, 4 goals in your last 7 games, or there's a stretch you went 4 goals in 7 games, only had 7 shots. So
Yeah.
I think your shooting percentage is extremely good.
I know it is. DJ's been on me to shoot the puck a lot more. So I'll give a little bit of credit to him too. And yeah, I don't know. Sometimes you just get hot and you don't really need a ton of shots to score. And maybe that's something I'm going through right now, but I think I still need to shoot it a lot more.
Do you look eventually at Brady? Is it going to lead to you getting into your first NHL fight because he's always in some scrum after a whistle?
100%. At some point, I think I'll just get dragged into it, and I won't even want to go, but I'll probably have my gloves off with someone, and yeah, I'll probably blame it on him for sure.
Has he told you he's going to apologize at some point because of it?
No, yeah, he doesn't apologize. He loves that stuff.
What? Okay, so if we go to the house now, and the three of you with Brady Tkachuk and Tim Stützle, we talk a lot about your cooking. So has your cooking improved? Has it been the same? What's it like? Or is there just a whole lot of ordering out at the moment?
I haven't cooked in a long time. I'll be honest. We've been ordering out a lot. But I've seen some things where Brady says I'm like this awesome cook, and I just love it because I cook like one meal or two meals. That's it. And they love it. And they just say I'm like the best cook. And then I get this praise for being a good cook. And I don't really think I'm a great cook. I just know how to cook a steak.
It's gotta be hard though, right? Like with the compressed schedule, like you don't have time to prepare for anything. So I'm assuming you guys are just ordering takeout, or what are you doing?
Yeah, we order takeout a lot, and there's a good butchery in Westboro that I go and pick up some steaks from and just throw them on the grill, which is easy. But yeah, a lot of takeout.
What's the name? Is that Saslov's?
No, I think it's just called the Wellington Butchery. It's right on Wellington Street.
Yeah, I've been there. Yeah, it's a good spot. Nice.
It's really good. Yeah.
Is there any? I always hear it's usually like sweet potatoes and asparagus, or do you ever mix it up?
Honestly, not really. I kind of just like whatever Brady wants. I'm just like, okay. And I go to the grocery store and I pick it up. I'm living at his place. So I just kind of go by his commands, and then I whip it up and we have a nice dinner. So Timmy likes it too.
So he's basically the same guy off the ice as he is on it. Just he pushes people around.
Yeah. Meat and mashed potatoes. That's how he is off the ice too.
Are they on you guys about that? Like right now, like this might be a stupid question, but I'm assuming that the team, or I don't know, Schwartzy, the strength coach, is on top of you guys for your nutrition, or are they even talking about that at all? Or being that you guys are all 12 years old, you could probably just eat whatever you want, right?
Timmy and me, yes. Brady's built a little bit different.
Yeah.
And we've had some body fat the last couple of weeks, and they're honest a little bit about that, but not too much. Coming down to the stretch of the season, and you don't want to get too out of hand, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Is it? I gotta think you feel fortunate that you have two roommates, basically because of the way COVID is going on in Ontario, that you've got some guys to hang out with, where you don't always have that option with other guys who are living alone. So are things pretty good and easygoing and that because you're living at the same house?
Yeah, it's good. Especially this year, it's a little bit different. I'm glad I'm not living alone, or I'm not in a hotel. That would be miserable. So it's been great to have those two guys. We're all kind of always doing something different. Brady's always yelling at his Xbox. He spends a lot of time on there. I don't know. I watch a lot of movies, kind of do my own thing, and Timmy usually just sleeps the whole day. So he's kind of like a sloth. So we're always keeping ourselves busy. That's for sure.
I heard Tim likes I hear him calling him Tim. I heard Jimmy Stu likes his naps. What kind of movies are you into, or what genre do you prefer?
I usually like more of a comedy, like a funny movie. But yesterday, actually, Brady and I watched. I don't know if you guys have seen The Imitation Game.
Unbelievable movie.
I haven't seen it.
Great movie, and yeah, I don't really think Brady liked it too much because it's kind of boring and you got to pay attention, and he's always like on his phone, right? And I'm like you just missed the most important part of the movie. Like, why are we even watching this? But yeah, so usually more of a funny movie, but I'll get into the old stuff too.
I just going back to the rink. Earlier on, I remember I shot some video of you and Tim Stützle doing curling after practice one time. I guess how much fun do you guys have on the ice just messing around post practice. And it's probably a lot more earlier on than now because there's so many games and it's so compacted, but it always seemed like there was something fun around this entire group.
Yeah. I mean, for me, at least at the start of the year, that's like some of the more like fun times that you can have. Just you're fooling around after practice and there's no rules. You can kind of just do whatever you want. And especially Timmy, he's such a young kid and he just likes messing around and having fun. So that's always enjoyable for me. And we haven't really been able to do it a ton lately. I try to get off the ice pretty quickly. I try not to be the first one off the ice just because I'm the rookie and don't want to make that, a scene. But yeah, lately I've been one of the, earlier guys off the ice.
Yeah, you're number one center. I think you can go off whenever you want, but I don't know what the vets are telling you. So I'm not going to get into that. It's none of my business.
I always get an earful either way.
Yeah, for sure. Well, so talking about back to hockey just for a little bit, now that you're number one center and you've got all these brutal assignments every night on any given night, what's that been like as an adjustment, just hopping into the NHL and then playing against all these top lines?
It's for sure been an adjustment and it's not easy. I can remember, I think it was the first time we were in Edmonton. I think I was playing against Draisaitl. It was me, Brady, and I think maybe Drake, or me, Brady, and Brownie. And it was the very first shift of the game, first time playing against Draisaitl. I think we iced the puck and it was like 8 seconds into the game. He snaps it back on me and they score like literally 8 seconds in. And I'm like, oh my God, like this is going to be the longest night of my life. But I've learned a lot and I think I enjoy the challenge and it's like I said, it's not easy, especially defending 97 is pretty tough and that's not fun, but I think it grows my confidence and knows that I can play against anyone. And yeah, that's really what I want to do as well. I want to play against the best players in the world.
Yeah, and you are doing an excellent job. You're getting a lot of love from us with that. So would you say 97 and Draisaitl are the hardest assignment then? I mean, that probably goes without saying.
Yeah, I would for sure say 97, and then I think Draisaitl and Matthews are neck and neck. Those two guys are horses.
Do you feel? I know you said that you study face-off guys now, and you only have 6 other teams to play against, if you will. Is it easier for you to try and study these guys, because you're not playing 31 or 30 teams, and that who these guys all are? Like, how much video do you have to do here?
Yeah, it definitely makes it easier not having to, study 30 different teams. And it's not like I'm sitting in front of my laptop screen studying each guy for an hour. Like, I definitely look at video and see certain guys' tendencies. But, for example, if we're going against Winnipeg, I know Scheifele's a guy who likes to go under me, or, Lowry's a power guy. So it's just mental notes that I have from games before that makes it easier for me to know what I'm getting into that night.
You bring up the iPad, and there was a shot from the Winnipeg game the other night of you, and I think it's Drake after an intermission sitting and looking at. What are you looking for, and how much do you guys use that iPad on a nightly basis?
Probably more than we should. I think it's we watch too much sometimes and forget that there's a game going on. But I think Drake and I were just talking about the power play briefly and just kind of looking at what their PK was doing. Especially for Drake, I think he's such a fun guy to be around, and I think he's such a smart hockey guy, and especially on the power play, like he's really lethal. So I think anytime I can sit with him and just kind of see what he's thinking, especially in a game where maybe the power play hasn't been clicking too well, I'll take the opportunity.
Can we go back to your combine, if you will? And Craig was telling us some stories. I think you could fairly say it went very well for you at the combine. Would that be fair?
Yeah, the combine definitely didn't hurt my draft status. I'll say that. I did pretty well. I didn't realize I was going to do as well as I did, but it was definitely something that helped me out a lot.
Well, let's just go. I think if Craig is right, you're first in VO2 max, first in chin-ups, and first in perhaps something else.
I
think I got first in 5 of the events. It was the win. Yeah, correction. The Wingate, which is like the 30-second bike test, which is brutal. Yeah, it's not fun. And then it was like 2 agility tests, long jump and vertical jump, I think were the 5.
Now, were you surprised?
Go ahead.
Honestly, not really. Like
Okay.
because we had done some testing at the US program a little bit, and I would always win like the jumping and the vertical or the broad jump or whatever. So, um, but I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of other good athletes there too, so I wasn't really too sure how they were going to be. But yeah, I just kind of did and went and did what I was good at.
Yeah, you're being so humble right now.
I
But anyway,
know.
just forget about those generic answers because I appreciate your modesty. How do you prepare for that? Like, so I always took pride in like training and doing well at fitness testing, but
Mhm.
at that age, like killing it and like I could barely do a pull up when I was 17, let alone bang out a bunch of them and win the competition. How like what was your preparation for that? Is that just all from the US program and getting groomed up properly?
I mean, yeah, the US program does a great job. I think, especially like after, so obviously it's a 2-year program. So after your U17 year, you stay for, I think, like 6 or 8 weeks and you do spring training and guys get all jacked up and they gain 15, 20 pounds, whatever it is. So that's
Yeah.
obviously helps. But like honestly, like if I'm, not pumping my own tires here, I think I've just always been kind of naturally, athletic and gifted. And that's something that, kind of runs on my dad's side of the family, I think. So
Yeah.
I was lucky a little bit there. And then, but to prepare for the combine, I didn't really do a whole ton. I got together with my strength coach back in Detroit and we just ran through, some of the agility things. But other than that, like I didn't really do a whole
Yeah.
ton to get ready for it.
Yeah, so you're a genetic freak. Otherwise, those guys bothered me so much growing
Yeah, kind
up.
of.
Because then you got a lot of us that have to like work a ton. Not to say that I was lucky too. Kind of same thing through my dad, but
Yeah.
man, that's impressive because I know how hard it is to go through those combines and to be able to finish first in 5 events. That
Yeah.
wouldn't have hurt your cause. So good for you.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate that.
At that combine, you have the meetings with the GMs, if I'm not mistaken. Was there any odd questions that you remember being asked?
Yeah, I remember, and I wish I had a different answer for this at the time, but I was just too, I was 17. I was too scared to kind of have a sense of humor and say what I really wanted to say. But I think it was in Detroit's meeting. They had like this military guy who was kind of trying to get under guys' skin and maybe intimidate him a little bit. And so I'm like 17 at the time, right? And he was sitting there and he's kind of asking me like if I drank or whatever. And he's like, "So do you like beer or liquor?" And like I just kind of looked at him. I was like so shocked. I had no idea what to say. I'm like, "Oh, I don't really drink. Like I've drank like once or twice before, but I don't really drink." And I wish I would have just said, like I'm a wine guy. So that's the one question that I remember.
You do seem like a pretty clean cut guy. I'm just curious, like, is there the worst thing that Josh Norris has ever done?
The worst thing that I've done.
Yeah. See, when you have to think about it, we know it's not very big.
Geez, actually, I remember doing something so stupid. I don't know what I was doing. I was at the US program and I think it was my U18 year. We were coming back from a road trip and we were in the airport. And so we have all of our bags, like on those push things that you have when you have a lot of luggage. And we were on the second floor and we had to get back down to the first floor. And I was with one of my other teammates actually. And I'm not going to say who it was, but we're going down like this. Well, I guess I should say why I was going down, but the elevator was like really packed to go downstairs. So I didn't want to wait. And so me and my teammate decided to get this, like our pushy things with all the bags on them. And we decided to try to put it down the escalator. And it's like so tight, right? Like there's like maybe an inch on each side. So if I get it stuck one way or another, like we're going down. So anyway, we get it in the escalator and not even thinking there's people behind us that are just regular people trying to get by. We get down to the bottom of the escalator and my buddy gets through, he's fine. And then my cart like gets kind of stuck like in the escalator and it just like stops like the whole escalator and people are just tripping over my bags. And like this thing is stuck in the escalator and I just feel so bad. And there's like old people falling down and it was so bad. That's the one like most embarrassing moment of my life. I was like, I'm such an idiot.
Pretty good.
If that's the worst thing you've ever done, then you're okay. Then that's mortifying and embarrassing, but at least you can actually, it could have been worse.
Oh, it was terrible.
All right.
Your birthday's coming up. You're going to be 22 here in a couple of weeks. how did you celebrate the 21st birthday? Since I know you were in the US. I don't know what the lockdown was like at the time. Did you have a party?
No, I didn't. Well, I had like my grandparents and some aunts and uncles and cousins come over to the house, but I never got to go out for my 21st birthday, which would have been nice to have my first beer. But I think I'll
Yeah,
I think
okay.
I think I'll have another reason to re-celebrate my 21st when I get back home this summer. So we'll see
There
how
you
that goes.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
We always ask, usually we always ask, Meth tends to forget. What is your favorite snack?
Favorite snack? I love like cinnamon raisin toast.
Okay. Now, what is your favorite snack that you're not supposed to have? Like it's a cheat snack.
This guy doesn't, Wally, he doesn't do that. He just crushes protein shakes.
I do. I love ice cream. Like I'll eat ice cream like any time of the day. Like
There you go.
doesn't matter what time it is.
Flavor?
I can't say vanilla because I'll just get roasted.
Mark Borvietsky said vanilla. You're fine.
I like cookies and cream. Cookies and cream is good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Who's the best gamer in the house? Is it just Brady? Or
yeah, Brady's good.
Are you even close?
I haven't turned on my Xbox since we got here. So
wow.
Yeah, I'm a little bit far behind if I was to try it right now.
I gotta chime in. No, what do you do? Like you said, you watch movies. You don't just watch movies all day. What are you even doing? You don't have a wife. You don't have kids.
Wow.
I did. Yeah, I did. He's put me in my place, rightfully so.
No, I'm just asking.
The weather's been pretty good lately, so I've been going on a lot of walks. I love going on walks. I do.
Of course he does.
It's something that I enjoy. We got a couple good parks here, and just go look at nature. I guess that's what I like.
Just because he likes to get out of the house doesn't make bad. You know what you should get as a dog.
No, but I remember same age as them when I was in Columbus with all the guys in the same building. I would just play Call of Duty all day. But
they can't go anywhere.
Did you hear what I just said?
I know, but not everybody sits on a video game console.
Well, not everybody.
He's a much more well-rounded individual.
Not everybody.
I'm kind of a loser. I know. I'm
eating cookies and cream, ice cream, nature watching.
I'm a loser. I need to get a dog or something.
The dog is the way to go.
Me and Timmy went to the mall a couple weeks ago, and we went to, I think it was like PetSmart or something, and they had like dogs in there, and we almost walked out with the dog.
Oh, no way.
We were like, man, we got to get one, and we were like, no, we got to get out of here before we actually buy one.
Are you the most mature person in the house, or is it Stutzla?
You mean? Did you stutter, or do you mean to say Brady?
No, he's asking her.
There's no chance that Brady's the most mature person in that house.
Brady does a good job. He's always on time. He's responsible. The only issue I have with Brady is he loves going to the rink really early, and I can't do that. Like it drives me crazy. So sometimes I got to go by myself with Timmy, which makes us a little bit more happy.
Do you have a game day routine?
Obviously we go to the rink and do pregame skate or whatever, and then I come back and I go for a walk and listen to some music, and just kind of I like to be mindful of things and be present on game days. So that's really the only superstition that I have.
What kind of music is in your playlist when you're going for a walk?
Brady and I listen to a lot of the same music, to be honest with you, like kind of everything. So it's fun when we're in the car together because we like jamming out, and we'll listen to some old stuff. But I'll listen to I'm gonna get roasted for this again too, but I'll listen to like the Fray or like Avril Lavigne, Kelly Clarkson. Some newer guys are like Louis Capaldi. I like him a lot. A lot of sad music. I don't know why, but it's just good to sing along to. It's nice to be in that headspace.
Nice.
Does Adele come on the playlist then? Because Brady said earlier in our interview that he would go to an Adele concert.
Brady loves Adele. I'm not a huge Adele fan. Like I'll listen to her, but he has some questionable choices for sure.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
As you came into this season, did you set any kind of goal for yourself? point total wise? You don't have to tell us what they are because I know players don't like to do that, but did you set anything and are you close to achieving it?
See, I'm not a guy who likes to set point totals or like numbers and things like that. I think it takes away from me, I guess, kind of just being in the moment every game and doing the best that I can in that game, because certain games are just weird and there's things that you can't control and things happen. And I just don't like looking too far down the road. I think, I mean, it's not a bad thing if I know certain guys are like that and they're wired a little bit differently, but I just try to go into every game and do the best that I can that night. And if I have a goal, and if I have a couple points, then great. But if not, then just try to provide some other things to the table too.
DJ Smith seems to like to talk a lot behind the bench. Does he say a lot of things to you?
If I need to get my head out of my ass, yeah. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on here. Sorry.
Yeah, you can say whatever you want.
Okay, sweet.
Nobody's listening.
Yeah, so if I have a tough starter, I'm not skating or whatever, I'm not doing well in draws, so he'll let me hear it. But other than that, he's pretty good with me. I'll give him credit for that. And yeah, he brings a lot of energy. It's there's a lot of funny moments and things that are said on the bench that make you chuckle sometimes, but he does a good job. Is
he a good chirper, or like a sarcastic type of guy with like good one-liners?
Yeah, he's not bad. I mean, I've heard some better ones than what he has. Like, it's not the greatest chirps, but it's not the worst. So he's like right in the middle.
There's a couple of guys, obviously, from Pinto to Jacob Bernard-Docker, and we can go to Jake Sanderson. They have to make a decision about whether to leave school or not, right? So you left after 2 years. What is that decision like for guys who are in the NCAA and trying to decide what's the best move? Is it as hard as people say it is?
Yeah, I think it is. It was really hard for me because I was coming off shoulder surgery. Yeah. And I don't know, I was just kind of in a weird spot and I had a lot of time to think about it, maybe a little bit too much time. And I think that messed with me a little bit, but I mean, I had good people around me. Obviously my dad was in the game for a while and he helped me out a lot. And I had, my agency helped me out a lot too, which was really nice. But I mean, it was a tough decision. I was 19 at the time, I think, or 19 and just turning 20. And you got a lot on your mind and you want to make the right decision. And ultimately, obviously, I decided to come out of school and I said, this is going to be the right decision for me no matter what. And I think it's worked out so far, but I think it's definitely a tough decision for some kids. And, I know a lot of kids that go to college want to get their education or at least get as close as they can to graduating. And, I'm a long ways from that, but I'm happy with my decision.
Are you going to get your degree? Do you think you'll ever revisit that?
I promised my mom if I signed early that I would get my degree. So I think it's something that I have to do.
You can't let mom down.
No, I can't. She's the only person I can't let down.
So who's the biggest? I know your dad, obviously he played and he played a lot in Europe. Who's the biggest influence on your hockey career? Is it your dad or is there someone else that really had an impact?
No, it was my dad for sure. It was fun. I mean, I basically grew up in Germany for the first 10 years of my life. And yeah, I was kind of raised over there and was always obviously at all of his games. And it's a different atmosphere over there. It's the games are a lot more intense and in terms of the fans and they have their drums and all their flags and stuff like that. And I can remember there's like a portion of the rinks there that are it's like standing only. So it's like all the crazy fans. And I can remember going in there with both my brothers multiple times and hooting and hollering and jumping up and down. So it was fun, but he's definitely been my one kind of, person that I've looked up to and has helped me out a lot. So he's been great for me.
People don't understand if you've never been to a European hockey game of what it's like. And so when you talk about the drums and stuff, they never stop for an entire game. Yeah. It's wild. Yeah. And it is. I love it.
And they're crazy fans, but they're like the nicest people too. Like, they were so good to like me and my brothers and my mom, and everyone kind of knows like all the players and stuff, but they give you your space. And, but yeah, the games themselves are so much fun. I think honestly, like as a kid, I had more fun going to those games than I did like when I was over back here going to an NHL game when I kind of just gotten back over here. But it's really cool. I wish, you know, more kids could experience what it was like over there just to go to one or two games. And yeah, I had a blast over there.
Yeah, it is quite phenomenal to watch. And I've seen it in different countries. It's always the same. And you talk about, it's usually behind the net where they don't have any seats. And it's just all these people waving flags like almost like it's a soccer match at the same time. Matt, did you play against any? You would have had to play. They always play against like a national team in some country.
Yeah,
right?
no, I was over there. I know exactly what Josh is talking about because we went over there with the London Knights. It was some weird organized little road trip that we had where we played a bunch of exhibition games against all the top teams. And we even partied with them after games. That was the beauty of it. The games meant nothing, but the fans were all there and we were able to go out with them after. So if I could do anything over, it would be to go back in time during the lockout year and go play in Germany because it was incredible. But the insurance stuff kind of got in the way. But yeah.
I just want to know about being in that same house with the three of you and how much fun that is. Like, do you guys talk about how the future of the Ottawa Senators is shaping and how you guys played such an important role in it and how it's going to look perhaps 3-4 years from now?
We do, yeah. I mean, I think it's such a unique time right now, and it's fun for us three because there's so many young guys on the team, and I mean, obviously the last week or so we've added Pinto and JBD, and it's just kind of cool. Like we have this, you know, young core of guys who are hopefully going to be, you know, here for a long time, and you know, try to turn the ship around and head back into a winning direction. So it's definitely fun for sure. Obviously Brady, it's his third year and he's been here for a little bit, and Shabby, it's his fourth year I think now. And yeah, I think obviously they want to turn things around too. They're sick of losing, and you know, this is going to be the core group to do it, and I think we're all just really looking forward to that.
Do you try to remind Brady that he's got to re-sign? Like, do you try to influence that decision at all?
No, I mean, I try to stay out of that stuff. I bust his balls a little bit sometimes, but I mean, I know he just wants to focus on the rest of the season and you know, have, you know, the best finish that he can have. But I mean, when it comes time to sign the deal, you know, I'm not sure when that'll be, but I know he's excited to stay here for a long time.
He was in the crease typically, as he normally is, when you scored your first NHL goal. It seemed to be the perfect picture, if you will. You fire in this shot, he's on all fours in the crease. It's against Winnipeg, January 19th, if I'm not mistaken. Can you take us through scoring your first NHL goal and that feeling?
Yeah, well, when the puck went in, I couldn't tell if he like tipped it or not. So I wasn't really sure right away, but I think I kind of asked him when we got into the pile if he touched it, and he said no. So a little bit of a relief, but I mean, honestly, like that was such a cool moment for me. Brady and I have known each other for the last 6 years and played 2 years in junior together, and then you know, played a World Juniors together too in Buffalo, and have been really, really, you know, tight friends ever since then. So to have him kind of, you know, in front there on the ice with me for my first goal, yeah, it was a cool moment, and obviously it's something that I won't forget.
Josh, we will let you go and not take up too much of your time. I appreciate you stopping by. We're so excited to see what this team can possibly do here with what the young group is centered around. And I hope you guys can feel how this city has embraced all of you, and looking forward to perhaps many more wins here as this team gets to start rolling along and eventually start challenging for playoff spots.
Yeah, we definitely feel the support. It's you know, it's unfortunate that, you know, obviously fans can't be in the building this year, and just the whole scene this year obviously is a little bit different, and we wish that we could have everyone back in the building and you know, have it be a normal year, but hopefully you know, everyone can kind of get back in the building sooner rather than later, and we can get this thing going. And you know, I know we're just really excited for the fans to get back and to start winning some games again.
You do have a perfect number 9. Meth does not like a number 48. I'm just curious if you would ever wear number 48 on your jersey.
When I see 48, I just think of like a big like linebacker or like a lineman. That's not a hockey number. I don't like that number either. So
Thank
I
you.
can agree with you on that one, Matt. I saw that on Twitter the other day, so I'll agree with you on that.
Good man.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's got my
I didn't think
back.
Wow.
That's a bad
So
number.
what about 59?
I think that might be worse. I honestly think I would take 48 over 59.
What was your
50
training camp number?
37, which is actually pretty good. That's not bad.
Yeah, it's okay. And why 9?
I don't really know. I wore 9 my first year in college, and then I wore 9 last year in the American League too, and I had a good year. So I was just like, let's just keep the ball rolling, and yeah, it was easy.
But you were like, you're a Michigan guy. I didn't like, does Gordie Howe play a part in that or not?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, I never got to see him play, but he's obviously one of the all-time greats. But that no, that didn't have anything to do with it.
All right. My friend, take care. We will watch you intently as we see you as the number 1 center on the Ottawa Senators for years to come. And we appreciate that you wear number 9 and not some ungodly other number.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed being on your show.
See you, pal.
Thank you, guys.
All right, welcome back to the show, everybody. Craig joins us now, and for one of our favorite segments called You Want Answers. Craig, what do you got?
Yeah, well, we asked people if they had any questions, and now I thought we would provide them with their answers. So again, we tossed it out on Twitter. So if you don't follow us on Twitter, you should probably do that, because every now and then we will ask for your fan questions like we did this week. And let's just hop right into it. Actually, you guys touched a little bit on this in headlines, the concept of media training. So I thought it was a good one to bring into this as well. So this comes from Hannah, which is at Hannah Mel J, I think. And she asks, I'd like to hear about the players' media training. Where I assume they're taught to deflect questions, get pucks deep, etc. What are training sessions like, and who conducts them, and have they changed over the last 10 years?
Well, we don't, and I'll answer this. Wally's much more polished than any player I've ever played with, but no, we don't, there is no training. I mean, we're not sitting down having seminars on how to answer questions. It's more, we'll have a meeting at the start of the year with regards to security stuff and how to handle social media and, the risks that come with it. And usually the old school cops that are giving us those meetings basically just tell us there's no real benefit to using it. But as far as the generic interviews go, I think that's just a comfort level for players. Some guys aren't comfortable in front of the camera. They get a little nervous, and it never reflects how they are off camera. Like getting a generic get pucks deep type answer, that's not the same person you're going to get in the locker room behind the camera, or away from the camera, I should say. So it's just, some guys are just really nervous and they tense up, and they're just trying to get out of that interview as fast as possible.
Okay, but there's a couple things here. One, I know of PR guys that have gone, so you guys are in the back, you're getting showered, and we're asking and making requests for you guys to come back out and chat. That is the time where they go back to say, hey, Meth, Brent wants to talk to you. And they tell you, for the most part, what they think they know we're going to ask. Like the coaches all get prepped. So before they even start in, they know roughly what the questions are that are coming. Are you not told what the questions are or what the topic is? A lot of times you do know what the topic is. That's a given if you have a 5-1 loss or you've got 3 goals in your last 4 games. But some of the times you get told, do you not?
Yes. Now, the only time we'll ever get a heads up is if it's a fairly tough question, like as far as addressing an event that happened or a losing.
Well, it could be like Robin Lehner today. It could be like, we want to ask you about. Exactly.
Perfect example. But a guy like Robin Lehner, if you're the media guy, if you're a PR guy, he's the kind of guy, like Robin Lehner will make you nervous, right? Because you don't have any control over him. And I commend Robin Lehner for that. I like that you can't control him. He's going to go and he's going to speak his mind. But a lot of players need to be kind of coddled a little bit and told what to say. And when I say that, I mean, with regards to the generic topics about why we're on a losing skid. And sometimes the PR guy will give you a couple quick talking points or idea of what to say, and you can run with that. But I mean, I never even listened to it. I just kind of spoke my mind.
Eric Carlson was good. I mean, he never had people, he would just do what he wanted, right? And Jason Spezza was another guy that didn't need anybody to come and tell him. But I will say, when you bring up those topics like Robin Lehner, if I ever, and one of the reasons I think that I was fairly successful. What I did, or at least the players didn't hate me, was I would go to the guy and say, listen, Meth, I've got to ask you about Robin Leonard today, who said this and this. So I just want you to be prepared before we start to understand what question is coming so that we don't ambush you. And I never wanted to do that as a reporter.
Yeah.
So whenever it was tough like that, I would at least try to pull the guy aside and say, this stuff is coming. But every once in a while, you get a news guy that would come in the room and they'd be from like Parliament Hill or whatever, and they don't give a shit because it's all different for them, right? They're used to just hammering down, and they would be really aggressive, and you would see the player just shut down. And I remember Alfie was one that, I think it was Roger Smith, who was at CTV at the time. He came in the room, and so we're in like a semicircle of reporters, and he's at the back, and he starts yelling out questions to Alfie about something, and I forget what the contentious issue was, but Alfie just shut down, and I knew that it's because he didn't tell him or give him any warning. If I had asked the same question, I would have got a different answer.
Yeah, and you lose the player. Like everybody loses in that case, and then you don't get a good answer. So, Wally, you were always great like that. Like you first of all, we knew that you wouldn't want to bury us, but you still asked the hard question. But you would give us warning at least, so that we weren't shocked and we wouldn't kind of get all shelled up and then kind of keep it to ourselves. You're able to get it out of the player, but do it in a professional way. And then that way you're also not blackballing yourself from that player moving forward in another potential interview, right? So it's win-win when you're professional like that. It's just the way to do it.
It doesn't do the reporter any good to try and sewer the player. Like if I need to go in and try to get one special clip from you, I'm going to get zero from everybody else from there on out, right? It just doesn't do me any good.
Exactly.
So, but I do know, like recently, Methot, I'm surprised that you maybe didn't allude to this. Draft picks and young guys in the OHL and stuff do get media training. At least I know of. I have gone and spoken to draft classes of certain agents or whatever to give them. So I think nowadays they are getting training at least on a before NHL type with the agents in classes.
Maybe see, I never went to the combine or anything like that. I was never a highly touted pick, so I didn't get any of that training. But I'm sure, but the players that would go to the combine were getting interviewed by scouts and media people, so maybe they got a little bit of a precursor type training going into it. But I mean, for me, it's always just been kind of organic. I don't know, probably not the right way to do it.
Yeah, well, let's bring on Andy Scott sometime, one of the big agents and guy here in the city, and we'll have to ask him a couple.
Good idea.
All right.
Yeah. On my end, it's something I sat through a lot of combine interviews, actually, players getting interviewed. And that's something that the scouts have to take into account, is they have to ask questions, right, about that kind of catches you off guard. And actually, Josh alluded to that when we talked about that earlier, right? They asked him what his favorite drink was, right? Like, obviously, you want him to say, well, I'm too young, I shouldn't be whatever, but it tends to prompt a better answer. So a big part of those interview processes are trying to bypass the media training that the guys get and to try and find these unique answers. And that's actually like the really neat little game that happens, because the player doesn't want to offer too much. And the scouts, this is their 10 minutes to talk to the guys. So the prep that goes into that stuff. I've seen them ask specific questions about specific shifts from specific tournaments where a guy didn't do something he was supposed to. And it's insane. So they really work hard to kind of try and come up with something to catch you off guard. Because even
I try to do that. One of them that always stand out in my mind is John Tortorella. So I'm covering Sean Avery's return back to the NHL. We're in Long Island. John Tortorella is the head coach of the Rangers, and he's in his usual happiness. But he had just left TSN, I want to say the year before, when he for a while, I think a year or so, he was on the TSN panel. So he's in his usual mode. And at the end, he's about to leave. And I just said, James Duthie says you stole the stapler. And he's like, what? And then he was like, oh, fuck off. And then he stormed away. But that was right. Like, you're just trying to jar the guy from being in that robotic sense of trying to come up with some different question that just gets them out of that mode.
Yeah.
Crazy. Hey, you know what? They wanted answers. You're getting answers today. That's what we're given. Okay, let's move on to the next one here. I like this one because I think this, you guys will both offer a different perspective on this one. And this comes from Barnabas, which is at Canadian Barnes on Twitter. How do you guys feel about fans getting personalized name and numbers on team jerseys? And I think we can kind of talk about what is acceptable to put on a jersey, what is not. And so we'll just ask, like, when you see a jersey that a fan is wearing, what are the rules? What are they allowed to do? in your opinion?
Whatever they do, whatever they want. They bought the jersey. I don't even know that's. See, okay, well, here we have an argument about to get set up here. So for me, it's simple. And I've seen it plenty, and obviously in buildings when I've gone and played, you got a random fan wearing a Sens jersey or whatever, and he's got his own name on the back and number, preferably 69 or something like that. So, for me, it's who cares? They're having fun with it. That's sort of the whole point, right?
Yeah.
No.
Brent?
No.
I imagine no.
You can't. So there was, I think before John Tavares became a Toronto Maple Leaf, or he was looking at other teams, like guys were buying jerseys to have Tavares on a team that he never played for. That just doesn't make sense to me, right? That's one. Two is if you put another team's name on the back of your jersey, like Leafs suck on a Sens jersey, it just, why are you so concerned with the Toronto Maple Leafs?
But it's entertaining. It's entertaining.
It's just, no, it's not. It's childish.
As long as it isn't, is okay. I understand what you're saying, Wally, but to me, as long as it isn't, foul language, so to speak, because it's a family friendly event, obviously. So you don't want to have an F-bomb on the back of a jersey, but
yeah.
I mean, why not? Like it's a talking point. You go to a game, you see all kinds of characters, different people, different jerseys. I don't see the issue in having someone being a little creative with their shirt and having a name on the back. Who cares? Let them have it.
So, okay. It's kind of an off topic. I'm not upset with anything. What happens with the guy changes his number? Now, I know sometimes the player will offer to pay for the guy to replace the number or something on the jersey, right? But what happens if the guy changes his number? Should that be allowed to happen during mid-season? Because now, like if I've got a Bobby Ryan jersey and it's got number 6 or number 9 and or 6, I guess he went 6 to 9. What happens, right? Am I just old school now and I'm too lazy to buy a new one?
Well, I have seen it in the past where teams have offered, I think, to have the jersey go in at a discounted price, right? Where you can change the number out. But I mean, at that point, I think if you're a fan, you don't mind having the original number. You've got an OG representing number on the back of your sweater. So, it's just having fun with it and being a little bit different from the new casual fan going for the new number. I don't know.
My daughter has her only Sens jersey is a Marc Methot number 3. So she also has a Sidney Crosby jersey, by the way. But
I was going to say she has great taste, and then you mentioned that last bit. So we'll just.
But when you got selected by Vegas, she cried. So there's that.
I think we all did a little bit.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, that's very fair.
Have you seen, do you have a memorable jersey foul or front you've seen? And while you think about that, I'll give you mine. It was at a Buffalo Bills game in early 2000s. We were there, and a lot of Canadians go over to the Buffalo games. I don't know if you guys have ever been to a Bills game in Buffalo. It's the best. You should add it to your, now that you're not tied down
bring a table
as much. Oh, it's the best. Anyways, there was a guy that he must have come from Toronto. He was wearing a jersey. It was half of a Toronto Maple Leafs jersey and half of a Cincinnati Bengals jersey.
Oh,
yeah.
And it was number 85. And on one side it said Ocho, and on the other side it said Cinco. And I wanted to rub his face in the dirt, because that
would short circuit Wally's wires.
Oh,
they would start crossing, and then it would be like a cartoon, like smoke coming out of his head.
The only people allowed to do that are like the Kachuk family, who have brothers and they don't want to show any kind of favoritism, so they've got a Flames and a Sens jersey. Okay, I'll give them that. But if your family member doesn't play in the National Hockey League, that is not acceptable behavior. Just
you're almost taking this personally. Like, it just let it go. Let it go.
I think listen, no jersey is allowed to touch the floor in the locker room. So I think that you need to treat it sacred.
Okay. A game jersey is sacred. We all know that. That's not even a debate. I don't know why you're bringing that in right now. It has nothing to do with the argument of changing your number.
If you're going to wear a jersey, you're wearing it to think, man, I'm like an NHL guy. I'm in the NHL. I got the thought on my back.
Is that how you're saying it? And you're moving your head that way too?
Yeah. And I got like my collar popped and everything. You treat it with respect.
Okay. All right. We'll leave it at that for now. But I mean, Okay. You know what? I'm not even going to elaborate anymore. I think we're obviously going to have to agree to disagree on this topic.
Yeah, we can always circle back on these. I think there's plenty more legs here on this one. Okay.
Sure. We're never talking about this again.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Here's another one I like. So this one comes from Roland Kewen at Roland Kewen on Twitter. And it's about the group chats the players have. And I'm not going to read the whole thing here, but it kind of gets into like what happens when someone gets traded from the group chat. Do they get dropped? Do you start a new one? Or do you have like a million separate ones there? Matthew, you changed teams a couple of times. What does the group chat transition look like?
This is great because for those out there listening, there's zero preparation to this aspect of the show. So I am not prepared at all, but this question
that doesn't change in any part of the show.
Yeah.
Good point. Go on. So for me, a good example was when I was traded when I was traded from Ottawa to Dallas, but even after Dallas, like when I was done playing there, we had a group chat. It was a Snapchat group chat, if that makes any sense. I don't use that anymore, but when you're playing on a team, we were using it, and players were coming and go throughout the year, and you don't get kicked out. It's strange. You almost get to the point where you feel the need to just leave the group voluntarily. Oh. So I would just eventually, I think a month had gone by and I'm like, okay, this is awkward. I'm just gonna gracefully leave this group chat. And that way I'm not putting anybody on the spot. And I did my own thing and there's no awkwardness to it. But there was also no goodbye because I didn't want to have to deal with the awkwardness of saying goodbye. So I just one day looked at the chat and I thought, yeah, I'm out of here. And I left. And that was the end of it. So, and the same thing applies for players when they're traded. And it also depends what your relationship was like. Like if you've been playing with the same players for 5-6 years, you might hang out there for a little longer and marinate in the group a bit, kind of behind the weeds so that you're still somewhat involved. But for the most part, guys just leave on their own. There's no kicking out process.
I've only been in one group chat with TSN reporters. And I think like the day after I got laid off, I'm like, I'm out. I just left. Yeah.
Yeah. But you left on your own, right?
Yeah.
You did your own
I'm
thing.
like, I can't stay here and have them go, hey guys, what are we covering today? So yeah, I was out.
Did you say goodbye?
No, just out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
it's just
kind of like
awkward.
leaving a party. You just kind of, you don't want to say goodbye to everybody in the room. So you just kind of like, maybe one person, you're like, all right, I'm going to slide out of here.
No, what you do is you go, goodbye, everybody. And then really quietly. And then you just, hey, I said goodbye. And then you just bolt.
I was notorious for doing that. So on the whole, like,
that's not surprising, by the way.
If we were ever out at the bar or, or like a long dinner or something, every once in a while, I wouldn't go back into and I still do that to this day at like family gatherings where I like to avoid saying goodbye to the entire room because it's just so uncomfortable. So out of nowhere, I'd go to the washroom and I would just leave. I'd get in a cab and leave and go home or back to my hotel because I'm not a late night guy. And I still do that at our family parties. And my wife, once in a while, she'll be like, Mark, you can't do that anymore. You got to stop. Go back in the house, say goodbye to everybody, then come back out.
And if you leave a group chat and you want to say goodbye before you leave it, well, then all the responses you'll never see anyway. Or do you have to hang out for like a 48-hour grace period for everybody to say goodbye for you to leave?
And then you feel like you're expecting it. And it's
and then you never leave.
I agree.
Okay. All right. We got two more here. This one comes from Gabe LaFrance at Gabe_LaFrance on Twitter. Matt and Wally, this one's for you. They just want the backstory behind the giant European dude that was do you want to tell that? Do you want to tell that story? I don't think we've ever.
I want to hear this again.
I don't think we've heard it start to finish on here. We've alluded to it, but maybe this is where we tell the story a little bit.
Okay, so we're in Slovakia World Championships 2019. Darren Dreger Cafe. So we would always go to wherever he was doing the cafe, so I could record my stand-up or on cameras because we'd have the same cameras. So they just finished up with the Hughes brothers. We're in the center square, if you will, of Slovakia in Košice. And I'm starting. Oh, it's a beautiful city. And I'm starting on camera and my camera guy's about 20 feet away. And then everybody else is behind packing up and Dregs is being the big guy talking to the Quinn and Jack Hughes and the family. No one's paying any attention. This shadow emerges just coming off to the right of me. But I'm standing. So I'm used to people hovering around or being around, but not right in my grill. So the shadow just keeps coming and coming. And then all of a sudden he's right there. There's this ginormous man and he just starts in on me and he's yelling at me. And I don't know what he's obviously saying. And so I'm usually, whenever this happens and I get yelled at by a fan or a viewer or whatever, I just like, okay, yeah, no, good. And then I usually just walk away, but I don't know what he's saying. And he's angry. At least he seems he's angry. Then he walks away.
He had an attitude to him for sure.
Yeah. And so, but camera guy, no one's moving. Like I could be stabbed to death and they would be like, I got it on camera. Don't worry. So
this is great TV.
Yeah. They're like, whatever, Wally, you're on your own. So he leaves and a couple of days go by and I'm like, and I've been doing a lot of stuff on social media for the World Championships. And I'm like, I like to post that maybe, but I need to know what's in that. Like, I need to know what he's saying because I don't want to post something that's got a lot of bad language or whatever. So we're at a game. We're in Slovakia, and I assumed the guy's Slovakian. So I just asked the ice crew people that I knew. I'm like, listen, can you tell me what this says? Because I don't know if I can post it online. So he listens to it, but there's a game going on, and so he's got it to his ear, but he can't really tell. So he takes it in another room and he goes, I can't really tell. It's something. There's no bad words. I'm like, okay, cool. And then I'm like, you know what? Just to be sure, I'm going to ask somebody else. And someone goes, it's in Russian. So you got to figure out, and it's a weird dialect, but he says something about girlfriend, no bad words. And I'm like, well, there's no bad words. It's no big deal. And I don't really clue into girlfriend. I'm not like, oh, whatever. So I post it, and then I get a couple of responses from people who know Russian going, he says, I want you, my girl, what is your name? And I'm like, but he sounds like he wants to stab me, but he's asking me, I believe, on a date.
Ooh.
And so
wait, was he asking you to date his girl?
No, I'm pretty sure
he's asking you to be his girl.
Yeah. In the old, in the lyrics of Jet, are you going to be my girl? I think is what he meant to say. Yeah.
But why would he say it no, this doesn't check out, Wally.
It does.
He was visibly mad at you. Like it looked like he wanted to knock you out.
Okay, but maybe that's the way that he approaches people to get a date. I don't know.
Well,
I bet you his eHarmony profile is not very good.
And Russians, I mean, just from my experience playing with them, because they're all beauties, but they all sound angry all the time when they're speaking Russian to each other. Yeah. They're mad. So perhaps you might have something there, but I'm still, there's no chance. That Andre the Giant looking dude looked like he wanted to scrap you right there on the road.
I think he wanted a date.
He wanted to mate, perhaps.
That's yeah. So
okay, all right, great.
That's what happened.
Cool. All right.
Okay, luckily, I never saw him again. Yeah.
Yeah, he's terrifying. That's why. I've known you now for so long, and this is the first time I've actually had the detailed version of this story. This is awesome.
Hey, Matt, it sounds like you want answers.
Well, I mean, you
got them.
Yeah, but anyway, I don't want to drag this on, but I still feel like we're missing something here. Like there's no way he asked Wally on a date. Anyway, I'm going to watch it again after this. Maybe we'll talk about it next show.
I can't wait. We got one left. And you know what? This one's a blast from your past. And it comes from the London Knights at London Knights on Twitter. And it just says, for Marc Methot, please explain. And it's the picture that we all saw.
I've been so waiting for this. Okay, so Craig, can you just set up this picture for us, please?
Oh, it's been up on the screen for a few seconds now already. It's going to stay up for the duration.
Okay, listen. I have a right to defend myself just very briefly here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Every week during that season, it was a special year because we had a very good team, and the team had done this, I don't know, 10 or 5, 6, 7 years prior with the previous group of players, where you'd have a centerfold picture of almost every player on the team in the London Free Press. So it's a very big picture.
You're a sunshine boy.
Yeah, sure. Well, that's fair. And it was my turn to do it. And the guys knew that we could probably have some fun with my picture. And they wanted to replicate Chris Barch, who happened to play in the NHL as well. Also an ex-London Knight player. And he was a bit of a fighter when he played in the National Hockey League, but a really good player. He took his shirt off for that photo shoot that he did, and they wanted to replicate it by using me. So they went and got a little gold chain. That was Danny Savret's idea, or captain at the time. Danny also brought out baby oil, and we lathered baby oil all over me. And I was wearing these awful cargo shorts. And I don't know what I was doing with my hair. Like, I don't know if we can comment on my hair in that picture, but it's tragic. Anyway, if I could go back in time and smack myself in the face, I would, but I can't do that. I don't have that luxury. So it is what it is. I'm going to be unapologetic about it. I owned it. And, I'm going to show my kids when they grow older what their old man did, and they can be proud of it.
Okay. First of all, I can't believe of all the research I tried to do on you that I have not found this picture. Anyway, I just want to know, like, did you ever was this ever a picture in your house, condo, apartment, anywhere you lived? Did you ever have a copy of it? I love it. You totally did. Yeah.
But it's
was it an
back.
8x10?
It's in the furnace room right now. I had it mounted with a couple articles. Oh no, yeah, it's big. No, it's bigger than an 8x10. It would be the size of a full newspaper stretched out, like you know what I mean? So it's big. And I mean, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I don't know. I don't want to talk about this. I'm so embarrassed.
No, I have so many more questions. Did you ever try and like use this to perhaps influence females?
It never worked. No, I was single at the time. My wife doesn't care. Like, if I was 18 or 19 at the time, and I thought it was a good idea, but the Western University is in London, and it was always known for having a lot of, good looking women. And, but they were all older than us, right? Like these were all college women, and I'm a high school kid. It just didn't work. So I never gained anything from that. And there was no social media at the time. Like there's no Twitter or Instagram to post it. And I don't even know if they were using Facebook very much. I don't even know if Facebook was a thing yet. So no, I mean, it did nothing for me. It just embarrassed me more than anything else. And I'm still paying for it to this day.
So there's a couple other, I'm not done with this.
No, there's no other. What do you mean there's a couple other? There's no other.
It says your favorite TV show, I think, or you preferred Sportsnet to TSN. Listen, anytime that you and I spoke, you'd be like, oh man, I love TSN. Not once did you ever say Sportsnet was your favorite.
Okay. But
I don't care now.
Sportsnet was covering the OHL, right? And they were the lead broadcast for the Memorial Cup, and they were always covering the O. So I mean, that was there was also like a Leno or Letterman in there.
I was going to bring that up too.
I'm not watching Leno or Letterman. Like, and I would watch it occasionally, but I didn't ask me a video game question. Like we were playing Tiger Woods all the time on Xbox after practices. Like, ask me about that. Anyway,
what about Grand Theft Auto?
I got.
Were you a GTA?
Yeah, we played. So yeah,
what year was this? What year was this, Meth? Like
05.
2005. Okay. 2005. And Grand Theft Auto wasn't necessarily converted to console yet. And I had my billet family who were there. I was so lucky. I had a great billet family, but we had a terrible computer in the basement. So I wasn't able to play any PC games. So I was on MSN Messenger all the time and ICQ and all that stuff, talking to people. So that was
taking me back.
Did you have a MySpace account?
Yeah. No, I didn't have a MySpace account. I didn't even know what MySpace was. It was a thing, but yeah, it was MSN Messenger. And then I'd be like making playlists for my MP3 player and playing a lot of Xbox. Those are my memories from junior.
What a great time to be alive back then. No cell phones. Like, people had cell phones, but you didn't really text, right? So do you remember trying to get a hold of people when you had like MSN Messenger? And it was hard.
But imagine, imagine going to a bar or anywhere in public and just enjoying each other's company and not being buried in your cell phone. You know what I mean? That was, to me, when I look back now, that's the bit, and I'm guilty of it. I think we all are, where you're in public and you can't fathom the idea that you're not going to do something for 2 minutes. Mm-hmm. So you pick your phone out of your pocket, right? I mean, we were all enjoying each other. The best times ever was pre-social media. No question.
I think sorry, go ahead, Brent.
I was going to say, it changed entirely how you covered the National Hockey League, or how entirely you related to players. Like, and we were media-wise not uncommon to be drinking with players at hotel bars or whatever, or sharing dinners or something. But that changed as soon as social media came out, because that and camera phones, right? And it just obliterated any kind of relationship you could have outside of the rink.
Do you remember trying to meet up with people though? Like that's the benefit of having a phone in your pocket. Like, do you remember trying to meet up with anyone in high school or university, or like you'd spend half the night trying to track everybody down, calling their house phones, and it was a mess. So being able that quick little,
but we made it. But you
made it work.
You
lost
work,
a lot of
though.
time.
Like
you
it
lost
was
a lot
never
of
an
time.
issue. Yeah, okay, but maybe that was a good thing, because we weren't so filled with anxiety and stress all the time. Everything was just a little slower. You know what I mean? And I think there's something to be said there. I don't know.
Yeah,
like, Craig, didn't your buddies just meet us at 8:00 at the Burger King?
Sure, but then it's like maybe they're there, or if you're like, you know what, I'll catch up with you guys later, and then you're driving around trying to find them. Man, those are the things you kind of forget about. It was fun in itself. You'd have your own little
but no one bailed. Like you committed.
Right, you had to.
Yeah, you committed to something though, and everyone just went. You had to go, so you didn't bail on it. You didn't change your mind. Anyway, yeah, it's interesting when you look back how much we've changed, in that time period.
It's crazy. Okay, hey, you know what? We did it. We got through all these fan questions here. What was your favorite there? Anyone have a favorite that we want to do more like that? I thought the jersey
that picture of Meth should make an appearance in every episode we do from here on out.
Yeah.
No thanks.
Maybe it goes up back on the wall behind you there, if you're looking for a spot for it.
We should.
Yeah, right here. Right here.
We could give it away. Maybe that's a trivial trivia one day.
He's not. Are you kidding? He is not giving.
I'm not giving that away.
Well,
unless the London Free Press are going to reprint one,
Yeah, that's a collector's item.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good stuff, Craig. Let's get on now to trivial trivia, and we're going to give away a Gong Show sauce-off kit, I believe.
Yeah, and this comes back from Monday's show with Nick Foligno. We asked we asked a lot of food questions there. Well, we asked one food question, but we talk about it extensively. And we asked what was Nick Foligno's go-to cheat food. If you remember correctly, he said grilled cheese sandwiches, which I had one the other day. Honestly, after that interview, I was like, I haven't had one in a while, so we made a grilled cheese sandwich.
So good.
Oh, it's the best. A little bacon in there, maybe.
Yeah, that's next level.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not gonna mess around here. But you know who else didn't mess around? Matt Gilligan, who was one of the many people who got the correct answer at Gilly Pickle on Twitter. So you won yourself a Gong Show sauce-off kit. Check your DMs. We're going to reach out, and we're going to get that to you very quickly. Today's question. Hey, well, don't mess with success. We're going to ask another question from Josh Norris's interview, which is, what is Josh's favorite cheat snack? So if you know the answer to that, head on over to Twitter and send us your answers using the hashtag Wally and Methot. Contest closes on Sunday, April 25th at noon Eastern, and we will reveal the winner on Monday's show. And we will be playing for a $50 gift card from Napoli's Cafe in Stittsville.
Napoli's Cafe, very good people there. Great food. People might think that we never ask any other questions, but we try to do. But chances are the next trivia question will be the exact same thing. Craig, Matt, great show once again. Thank you to obviously Josh Norris for stopping by, and we will be back again on Monday with another episode. For reminders, please subscribe, please like us on YouTube and all the podcast channels, Apple, Google, Spotify, to name a few. We will see you again, and we appreciate you tuning in, watching the Wally and Methot Show. Take care.